enthusiasm to the ballot. Play production is unique because we get to talk to the people afterwards. We get to tell them what we think and tell them what we're excited about too. But the ballot is what's going to linger after that oral critique is gone. So I think it's important to make sure that we match our vibe on the ballot as well. And I also think it's important to know who our audience is. And that has shifted over the years. Right now, the audience for the ballot, besides the coach, is Generation Z. And they handle things a little bit differently. They're the first generation who has basically gotten does all of their communication digitally. So they really don't use pen and paper unless they have to for something. They're unique in that way. They tend to communicate in images more than anything. They send memes. If they want to get something across to somebody else, they'll send a picture of something. Like, I don't know how to explain that, but hey, this one. And that's what they're used to. They're a generation that is very compassionate about things. They get caught up in big movements and causes. And that's kind of how they treat one-act season. This is a big cause, this is a big movement, we want to be a part of this. And if we approach some of what we say with that angle, I think it can be effective too. Because they're part of big causes and things like that, they want big challenges. But they also appreciate sincerity. We need to make sure we're saying things that have value, that are very specific, that can help them achieve greatness, all of these things. But we also need to do with sensitivity. This generation is very sensitive to criticism. And if you teach middle schoolers at all, you know this. You can say, hey, we're not doing that. Oh my gosh, you just screamed in my face. What? It's like, oh no, you haven't seen that. But I mean, that's their interpretation. It's like, oh, they just ripped into me. But they're very sensitive, so we just have to kind of know how to approach that if we really want to reach these kids and push them to carry on and make the play the best it can be. So next slide. The other important thing about them is, and I don't know if you're around the classroom if you know this, but they can't read cursive. They can't, and the coaches are having to translate that. It's like it's a different language. So I don't think it will change what I do on the ballot. I write cursive, I write much faster, but I tend to kind of, sometimes I'll do a half and half or something like that. But when you're addressing kids on the ballot, it doesn't hurt to throw in something in all capitals, in something that's printed so that they can understand that. And if we choose great words and things that they can say, that was phenomenal, write that out for them. I love this. That can also be printed. It's going to make a big difference that way. Next slide. Oh, yeah, there we go. They're also really big. We talked about, images and memes. Well, they use emojis all the time. But we can't write emojis. That's not. Well, some of you are really good at that. I don't have that skill, but sometimes exclamation points can be just as effective with them. And if you're going to use an exclamation point, one is probably not enough. They're almost like insult with just one. 3 might be more effective to them if you really want to get their attention. Oh, I loved this. Something like that. And put smiley faces or whatever on there if you need to. LOL. I don't know where you're at in your emoji game. Even more important, if you can, and you'll probably talk about some of these things in your oral critiques, but if you can give them some sort of visual reference, this is where they get all of their information. It's on YouTube, it's in movies, it's in shows, Netflix, all the things. If you can say, hey, you remember that scene from Step Brothers where this happens? Okay, I want you to do this. Oh, okay. A lot of times they're going to know that scene. If you're from an older generation and you're like, I don't know anything that they do, maybe it's a movie that you know. Let them look it up. Let them do some research. But if they can look at something and see, oh, this is the emotion that I'm wanting you to convey, it can be helpful as well. They're very, very visual. Criticism versus compliment, kind of like what Brad just got done saying, is about we need to kind of sandwich those things in there. Say something good, give them something constructive, say something good again, because they're really pretty sensitive. And if you can phrase that criticism, more as a challenge, instead of just say, I couldn't understand you, or I couldn't ever say, oh, because you were doing such an awesome job as that gorilla that was galloping across the stage, I couldn't always understand what you were saying here. Something like that, but where you can compliment them while you're critiquing them. But again, they will know if it's just if they, oh, they're aware. So make sure it's sincere, make sure it's honest, and all of that. The oral critique versus ballot. We're theater people. This is what we do. We do kind of get excited for the oral critiques, and we kind of get wound up. Some of us really kind of get going. Just make sure that the vibe on your ballot matches that, because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for, okay, do they hate us? Oh, I think they loved it. Yeah, or something like that. And but again, the ballot is what comes later, and that's what they're going to refer to on the bus on the way home. They're going to be looking at that. Make sure that you're still being you can be more direct with the directors. If I get a ballot from somebody, I want you to be very direct with me. Say, this part here, even if you're not quite sure, make sure you say, there's something off with this scene. I don't know if I can quite pinpoint it, but work on this a little bit to tighten this up. Or the sound here was something, whatever. Even if there's a coach's section and then, an actor's section. As directors, we don't have to share the whole ballot with them necessarily, but that can be helpful. Next slide. One thing that happens, and I don't know how often it happens where you are, but it does happen in our area, where judges will see plays multiple times. It's just kind of how it goes, and I think it's something to be very aware of, is make sure that you maintain your enthusiasm and things like that when you have seen it before, because kids are watching you. They're trying to get your vibe. They're like, oh, when they saw it the first time, they love this part, and they, and even though if you judge it again, you know what's coming, but they're still looking for that wow factor you had the first time, which you knew it was coming. It's not going to be quite the same, but if there were improvements or something, make sure you really focus on that for them, because they still need to get something out of this critique more than they had the last time. So if there's something where they did make these changes, make sure you congratulate them on that. Challenge them to push things even farther, and the like. We also have to make sure we maintain perspective. A few years ago, we had a situation where we were hosting a contest, and there was some other schools, and one judge came in, and they were like, this is the third time I've judged that play. Oh my gosh, they've improved so much. Well, they were probably still a 5th or 6th place play, but this judge was just so excited and talked about it all day to all the other judges, and was like, we got to reward them, And it doesn't mean they should maybe get runner-up just because you've seen them improve so much. It's okay to be that excited, and it's okay to be enthusiastic for them and share that with them. They have earned it. But as professionals, we need to make sure we maintain perspective on that. So you can get yourself into all kinds of situations, judging multiple times or all of that. I do have the little fire guy on there, just to remind you that if you catch fire with enthusiasm, people will come from miles to watch you burn. Good or bad?